Can you solve this geometry question? Many failed it. Now, what is the shape of this diagram? This is your trapezium or your trapezoid. And you know that if you want to find the area of this shape, we have it as area to be equals to half, that's 1/2. And then you add these two lines, these parallel lines. Let's call this A and call this B. If we add it, we have it as, open bracket, A plus B, after which we multiply by the height, which multiplies the height. And the height is the perpendicular height here, that's this point. And if you look at this, we know that this is 10, that's this length here is 10, and the length here is 18. Why the height is not given? Remember, this is not the same as this. So, to get this height, what do we do? If you notice, the total length from here to here is 10 centimeter, and also the total length from here to here, it is also 18 centimeter. So all we need to do is to adjust here. If from here to here is 10 centimeter, so let's create another line. If we do that, see what we get. So this angle is also angle 90 degrees because this one is perpendicular to this. So whatever we get here is equal to the height of this trapezoid. If we redraw this, this shows that since this place is 10 centimeter, we also have this to be 10 centimeter. And this length here is equivalent to this. So whatever we have here, we also have it here. So here is 18 centimeter. And since we've divided this length here, so the total, remember that the total length here is 18 centimeter. And since here is 10 centimeter, automatically here should be 8 centimeter. So if there is 8 centimeter here, and here is 10 centimeter, can we find this side? Let's call it S. Remember that this side is equal to this side. It means that whatever answer that we got here will be equal to this height of the trapezium. Since here is 10 centimeter and here is 8 centimeter, so we are left to find this, and let's call this S. So we've brought this out from the main trapezium. So let's solve this separately. So how do we find this? That's the value of our S. Remember that this have formed a right angle triangle. And each time you have or you are working with a right angle triangle, you are also working with the size of this right angle triangle. What you need to do is just apply the Pythagoras Theorem. That is, whenever you are working with a right angle triangle and also working with the side of that right angle triangle, you apply the Pythagoras Theorem. And according to the Pythagoras Theorem, all we need to do is to square both sides of the tail. After squaring both, you add it together in order to get the longest side of this right angle triangle. There is angle 90 degrees here, and this one made it a right angled triangle. But we do not know the value of our S. So if we apply the Pythagoras Theorem, which says A plus B squared is equals to C squared. And this is A, this is B, and this is C. Remember, the longest side is the side facing the angle 90 degrees. So this is the side that is facing the angle 90 degrees, and this is the longest side. And the longest side is the C, which is also known as the hypotenuse. So now, to find the value of our S, we now have our A to be 8 centimeters squared plus our B is S centimeter squared, which is equals to our C, which is 10 centimeter squared. So what do we have to do next? We now square, and square of 8 is 64 plus S squared, which is equals to 10 squared is 100. Remember, our target here is the S, and if you notice, this 64 is positive. So for us to get the value of our S, we subtract 64 from both sides, and when we subtract, this will cancel out, and we now have the value of our S. Our S will now be S squared, which is equals to, when 100 subtract 64, we have 36. So if we take the square root of both sides, we now have our S squared to be square root of S squared. We now take the positive and negative square root of these two, 36. This square root will cancel out this. We now have the value of our S to be positive and negative square root of 36. But because we are working with the sides of this right angle triangle, we have to remove the negative sign. Therefore, our s will now be positive square root of 36. The value of our s will now be equals to positive 6. So it means that the length here is equals to 6. Likewise, the length in this our trapezium, because this side is equal to this side. So the height here is 6 centimeter. Now that we have gotten the height, let's find the area of the trapezium. So remember, the area of the trapezium says A equals to 1 over 2 multiply the two lengths, which is A plus B, which multiplies the height. Remember, this is the two side of the trapezium which added to the B, and this is our height, and already we've gotten the height to be 6 centimeters. Using this formula, we have our area to be equals to 1 over 2. Remember, our A is 10, while our B is 18 centimeters. That's the total length of the trapezium. So our A is 10 plus 18, which multiply the height. Remember, the height is given, which is 6 centimeters squared. So here we apply our PEMDAS or BODMAS. Remember, the rule of PEMDAS says that we should apply the parentheses first, followed by the exponents, followed by the multiplication, followed by division, and then addition and subtraction. But remember that multiplication and division have the same priority, or they have the same hierarchy or level. That means it must be solved from left to right, depending on the one that comes first. That's if division comes first before multiplication from left to right, you solve division first before multiplication. Likewise, this addition and subtraction, they are on the same level or hierarchy or priority, whereby you will solve it from left to right, depending on the one that comes first. Meaning that if subtraction comes first before addition, you solve subtraction before addition. Now, looking at this question, if we apply the PEMDAS or BODMAS first, we now solve the parentheses first. So if we solve the parentheses, we have 1 over 2 times to 18 gives us 28, which multiply 6. The next thing is to remove this bracket, and if we do that, this will turn into multiplication. Therefore, our area will now be equals to 1 over 2 multiply 28 divided by 1 multiply 6 divided by 1. And if we solve these two, we cancel out this 28, we have 14. And the next thing is to multiply 14 by 16. When 6 multiply 4, we have 24. We write 4 and carry 2. When 6 multiplies 1, we have 6 plus 2, we have 8. Therefore, the area of the trapezium is 84 centimeters. And since we are finding the area, it has to be centimeter, and this is our final answer. I hope you learned something. Do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and drop your comments or your thoughts in the comment section. See you in our next amazing video. Thank you.